Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we will be discussing the Big Kid Candy 2 collaboration between Onyx and Brandywine. And there's the box right there. And I'm going to show you a couple of pieces of art before we discuss this coffee. So Brandywine, if you're not familiar, they are a very artistic coffee roaster, and they have some very cool, interesting little designs for their bags, for all their bags that Brandywine comes out with, and they did that as well for this Onyx. And for the Big Kid Candies, it's a Halloween coffee, so they do release a little comic strip to go with it. And I'm going to read the comic strip. I'm going to show only parts of the comic strip because it's pretty gruesome, actually. So this is titled, "What is a Trophy?" I want to rest on my laurels, but I can never sleep. Competition filling my thoughts like murky water, flowing and cloying and clawing and pulling me into the deep. And he's competing in a barista contest right there. If your eye is on the prize, you can't be led to slaughter. I want to grow complacent, but I will never sleep. What is self-approval but a trophy? And he's eyeing his competitor, and then he hits him with the trophy. They say pride comes before the fall, but how does shame continually brew discipline and disappointment like coffee? Accolades dazzle us. We are drawn like moths to a flame. What is self-loathing but a trophy? And in the one I'm not going to show, he's using a knife to, we'll say, harm his competitor, and then he is lifting up the trophy at the end. Halloween comic strip done by Brandywine and Onyx. All right, let's start talking about the coffee, and we'll talk just a brief bit about its place in the blind taste test contest. So I finished fourth, and I will openly admit this was not my favorite coffee of the 5 I have been trying. I actually didn't enjoy this coffee as much as I had expected or hoped. This is day 17, by the way. When placed alongside all those other natural coffees, it was pretty obvious that this one was on the more roasty side. The camber being a little roastier too kind of threw me off in that entire taste test video. But at the end of the day, I was able to figure this one out. It's a washed Ethiopia, and it didn't taste as much like a washed Ethiopia as I was expecting. But we will delve a little further into that right now. Day 6, I did not have a terrific first impression of this coffee. Roasty or smoky with a bit of sugary sweetness. Day 8 was getting some kind of strange charred meatiness with some decent stone fruit finish. At this point, I realized I wasn't overly enjoying this coffee, so I put it through a couple of other brew methods. I put it through the automatic coffee maker, and it was lacking any sort of significant depth. Roasty finished, some subtle stone fruit notes. Day 13, coffee was getting better with some time, but still bit of roastiness. The meatiness was gone. Those kind of stranger flavors I was getting was kind of gone. Burnt sugar, subtle stone fruits, and if I'm describing this coffee in 2 descriptions, burnt sugar and stone fruits, most prominent throughout the entire life of this coffee. Day 15, I made the tasting wheel on this day. Definitely burnt sugar, roastiness, some caramelized nuts at this point. Stone fruit was a lot more lively and prominent, smoky, and I was starting to wonder at this point if maybe this cup of coffee was a little more complex. And I thought, here we are on day 17, and I'm thinking that's probably not the case. Alright, I will go ahead and put up the tasting wheel right now so you can see what I was getting. And the things I marked the highest, the finish. And this coffee still has a pretty nice finish, actually. Pretty high on the smokiness, and of course I've been talking nonstop about the stone fruit. So the stone fruit, pretty high. Other things that got some higher marks, a little salty, chocolatey, a bit of caramel, a little bitter, and it had a higher body than I was expecting, considering I think they mark it as a black tea sort of coffee. And I've kind of mentioned, I didn't particularly enjoy this coffee. I really loved the Big Kid Candy from last year, and that's why I bought this coffee. I think I was expecting something a little more, I guess it was just a little roastier for me than I had expected. And I was probably anticipating the apricot to be the most prominent thing here, but this burnt sugar taste that I was getting was definitely the most prominent thing for me through this coffee. So who would I recommend this coffee to? I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's actually kind of hard because well, it's so limited, and I think they only sell it for 1 week a year. And I'm wondering if maybe the one next year will be a lot better, but for anyone that did have this coffee this year, then I think that Onyx is capable of doing some really good stuff with their slightly darker roasted coffee. When they did their advent calendar last year and they included their, I think it's Krampus, kind of their darker roast, and it was actually kind of decent. And I think anybody that may enjoy the holiday specials, the slightly darker Onyx coffees, this is definitely your coffee of the year, or something that you would really, really enjoy. But I think that's kind of where I limit it to the people that I really think would enjoy this cup of coffee. But those are just my thoughts. If you happened to be one of the few that have tried this coffee as well, please give me a comment and let me know what you thought of it. If you're enjoying the content, then give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a discussion of the Big Kid Candy 2 Wash Ethiopia from Onyx and Brandywine. Thank you for watching.